topic. So, email marketing by Nahuel Saluzzio. So, Nahuel is our chair of Aparu, former senior marketing manager at Sky, but also Sky, Fiat Chrysler and Deloitte. So we're very proud of our president. Three personal topics about him is that he's a massive fan of sporting challenges, and we have witnessed that he completed the 3 national peaks challenge last year. He climbed the 3 highest peaks in Scotland, Wales, and England, so well done. He got married last year in Argentina, and he's in the process of getting the British citizenship. So he's your person to go if you want to know about British history or traditions. So a round of applause for Nahuel. This is all yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Virginia. Thank you to our 2 wonderful panelists, speakers before me. And thank you to all of you. We are really glad to see you here. This is the first event of Aparu in the year. And it's a success to see that many people here. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, my section is, as you can see on the screen, about email marketing. I name it Email Marketing Do It Like a Pro. In here you can see a QR code. That QR code goes to my LinkedIn profile. So if you want to connect with me, please scan it. I would love to connect with all of you. I only did the QR code to impress Michelle. I don't know if I Thank you. Just a little bit about me, just the relevant part for this event today. What you need to know is that I work at Sky for 4 years, and 3 of those years were dedicated to email marketing. So I did a lot of email marketing. And our task at Sky was to transform the way that Sky was doing email marketing. And I think we did. After 3 years, we actually won a few awards, and we got Sky to being at the forefront of email marketing in the UK. I learned a lot of things, and hopefully I will be able to share with you some of the things that I learned. At the same time, I'm the chair of Aparu now, so I also work in a small organization, and I know the restrictions that we have when we are small. So I will try to translate those learnings from the forefront of email marketing into something that is more manageable by us as people in small businesses. And one of the things I learned at Sky was that email marketing can be really cool and fun. I think it's not what first comes to mind when you think about email marketing, but I promise you, bear with me, I'll show you that it can be fun stuff. So, first thing about email marketing is, please, you need to use a proper email marketing platform to do it. Don't try to do email marketing from your Outlook inbox, please. I know you may be familiarized with some of these platforms. Probably most of you use MailChimp already. That's the most famous one. It's the one that we use at Aparu as well. But there are others. I have included here the most popular ones and the ones that have a free subscription, at least to start with. Yes. Something that I found out is that they are not all the same. Each of them have pros and cons. So I suggest you do a bit of a research and find the one that is better for your business and the things that you have in mind. Now I'm going to talk to you today about the 3 wishes of email marketing, the things that we all want. We want to have an audience. We want that audience to open our emails. And then we want people who open the emails to engage with them. So starting with the audience, I'm not going to dedicate too much time to this because probably most of you already have a list of emails, you already have an audience that you're targeting. But I want to give you 2 tips. The first one is, probably many of you have a form somewhere online where you're collecting this data and then you manually transfer into your MailChimp or whatever marketing email platform you're using. You don't need to do this. Most platforms provide you with a form that can be embedded in your website. Just a small tip for you to save time. And the second one is you need to comply with something, and you probably know where this is heading to. Yes, it's coming. Yes. Yes. The marketer's worst nightmare. GDPR is the data protection regulation. It's a very long topic. We could do a whole event about GDPR, but let's rather not. But there is just one thing that, the most important thing that you need to know is that marketing emails can only go to customers that have given you explicit consent. Yes. So wherever you are capturing data from people, email address, name, surname, you need to include this famous tick box that says, tick here if you are happy to be contacted with email marketing communications. That's all I'm going to say about the audience, because I want to move into how do we actually get people to open our emails. The key performance indicator for this is the open rate. Open rate is defined as the number of people who opened the email divided the number of people who got the email. So if I tell you that a campaign has a 30% open rate, it means that of all the people that got the email, 30% of them open it. So how do we move open rate up? The first thing that we can do is getting the frequency right, the frequency of our marketing emails. 49% of consumers said that they would like to receive promotional emails on a weekly basis. So you can take that as sort of a benchmark. That's the golden rule of email marketing. That's also what we were using at Sky. So it's advisable to start with this, but obviously each business and each audience is different. So the second advice is test, test, and test. Yes, use this just as a benchmark. Monitor your open rate, see how it goes, if it goes up or down when you increase or decrease the frequency, but also have a look at the unsubscribe rate. If your unsubscribe rate is more than 0.5%, that's a bad unsubscribe rate. You're doing something wrong. Probably the frequency is too much. Second thing to get right is the day of the week and the time. And this is probably the most tricky thing because it really depends on your business and your audience. So here again, the advice is test, test, and test and see what works for you. Just as a guidance, I have included here the number of people in the UK who open emails hour by hour, and you can see there is a first spike around 9, 10 p.m. after people get to the office, and then another spike around 4 p.m., 4 or 5 p.m.
So 8, 9 a.m.
p.m. 4 or 5 p.m. and then 9, 10 a.m. Yes, sorry if I said it wrong. However, first of all, this includes work emails. So if your company is something that people won't be reading your emails during work, then probably try a different time. And also, all companies know this. So a lot of companies are going to be sending emails at those times, 9 a.m., 10 a.m. So yes, a lot of people open them, but also you will have a lot of competition, right? Some of the email marketing tools that I showed you before now incorporate an AI tool, so this is artificial intelligence, that it will learn for each of your subscribers what is the best time for them. When do they normally check their emails? And then when you deploy the campaign, it will deploy to each person at the right time, which is pretty cool. Third thing we can do right to increase the open rate is the subject line. And here there are some do's and don'ts. So how subject lines should be? They should be short and sweet. Remember that the inbox, the pane where you see the subject lines is quite narrow. So don't write a long statement, keep it short. Also, a lot of people read it on their mobile devices. Mobiles are quite narrow, so same thing. Try to personalize them. You know that you can add these dynamic fields into the subject line. For example, you can add the first name of the recipient in there. That's a great idea. That always increases the open rate. People like to see their name in there, even when it's obvious that it's an automated email and people know that it's an automated thing. They know that you're not manually typing their names, but they still open it, so it works. Then the following 2 points are sort of either or. You can follow two strategies. You can be really upfront with your subject line. So if the subject line is about the content of the email, you'd rather be upfront. Yes, don't make it generic or vague. Just tell it as it is. Or you can be intriguing and play with curiosity. But if you do this, please do it try to be clever when you do it. People hate the subject lines like, you won't imagine what is inside this email. That doesn't work really. Then sense of urgency is really useful. Things like, last day to take this offer or ends tomorrow. Catchy language, of course, as with anything in marketing. To be relevant and timely also really works. Things that don't work and to avoid making false promises just to make people to open the email, obviously. And using all caps and many exclamation marks. So now I'm going to show you 3 subject lines. So for us to decide if they are good or bad subject lines. The first one says, last chance, get 50% off all products today only. So please raise your hand if you think this is a bad subject line. Okay, and raise your hand if you think this is a good subject line. Okay. So most of you said it's a bad subject line. I agree with that. I think it's a bad subject line. First of all caps. People don't like that. Remember, most of us speak Spanish as the first language, but in English, all caps is shouting. So avoid it. And also, it generates this sense of urgency, which is great, but it does it twice, like last chance and then today only again. So it's a bit salesy, and also it's quite long, too long, definitely. Second one, it says name, so dynamic field in there. Rock the color of the year. So who thinks this is a bad subject line? Raise your hand. Bad subject line. Interesting. And a good subject line? Cool. Well, this is obviously very subjective, but I'm the self-proclaimed judge of this competition. I'm going to say this is a good subject line because it's personalized and it's intriguing, and it's intriguing in a nice way. You kind of want to know what the color of the year is, right?
Can I just ask, sorry to interrupt,
Yes.
on the first one, that is like a today action, have you never clicked there and bought something and you're like, thank God I did?
Yes, of course. So urgency is really good. It's one of the things that you should be using. It's just that in this case, it generates that urgency twice. It says like last chance and then today only, and it looks too salesy to me.
Grammatically, I know what you're saying, but you are making a sale.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the person and the moment. If you are a person who subscribes because you are interested in buying when the sale is on, and you receive this email, yeah, you will probably open it. But it depends on what your audience is. Definitely, these are not rules set in stone.
So it can go straight to the spam folder because of the 50 last chances that you won the lottery.
Yes.
So in Africa, with the 50 off, it probably
That's a good
etc.
point.
It goes to the
That's a good point.
spam folder.
It is a good idea to include offers in the subject line. Offers work really well, but you need to be careful. If you do it with all caps or many exclamation marks, that can go to spam. Okay, the last one is emoji of the funny ghost. Trick or treat, up to $300 off ends tomorrow. So who thinks this is a bad subject line? And who thinks this is a good subject line? Okay, again, very subjective, but I think it's a very good subject line. This is actually my favorite one.
You're selling drugs because treat or treat. And if you're selling drugs,
I didn't think of that.
Maybe it depends on the audience. For example, the second one, if I get that from the or, I'm curious, but if I get it from a bank, I'm not. And, the last one is clearly an airline.
Yes, this is obviously from a travel agency or an airline, and not from a drug dealer. I like it for many reasons. It uses like a lot of the advice that was in the previous slide. Well, first of all, it has an emoji. Third point, very timely. They obviously send this around Halloween, so it's relevant and it's timely. Fourth point, there is an offer in it. It works and it's not like too much. And finally, fifth point, there is sense of urgency because of the ends tomorrow. It may be a little bit long, but I think it's a great subject line. So, please don't forget about the pre-header. This is how the inbox looks like. And if you can see that email from British Airways that I got, you have the first line is the sender, second line is the subject line, and that third line, which is a little bit smaller always, that's called pre-header. People normally forget about it and leave it blank. Look at the amount of emails that I got without a pre-header. And that's lost state in an email. In whatever platform that you use, you can always, just below the subject line, you can always set up the pre-header. Use it because it's an extension of the subject line. Another way in which you can drive your open rate up is by sending resends to non-openers. So the way this works is you send an email A with subject line S, then you wait some time, normally around 3 days, but you can decide, and you will have some people who open the email, some people who didn't open the email. What you do is you take those that didn't open the email and send again the same email, but with a different subject line. Yes, so it's like trying again. It's like trying again, but with a different subject line, and see if you get them to open the email. And we always got the same result, which is this increases open rate by 10 points. It's quite significant. It's quite significant, and it's very low effort. Any of the platforms that I showed you before will let you do this. Yes?
So if I don't want to receive these emails, so I have to open them and expecting that they are not going to bother me again. Because what I do is the opposite. I never open them. And I say, delete them.
Unsubscribe with
They
the
don't work. Or I unsubscribe is very annoying because they make you type your email.
Yes.
And I hate that. I mean, all of these are great. I don't know how it works for me. For me, it's like,
You have a mail, you can unsubscribe directly from the
sometimes
From the email client,
and there are some that have 10 years and they keep sending me.
Yes, unfortunately, there is no solution
It's so
for.
annoying. It's so annoying.
There is no
I'm so
solution
happy
for
to find
unfair.
somebody that send me those emails. Or I'm happy, depending how you see that.
So something that I wanted to say to you is please only do this once. So for the same reason that you're mentioning, don't keep on sending the same email, trying the different subject lines forever. Just do it once. Once I think is acceptable. If people really don't want to receive your emails, they will unsubscribe. Unfortunately, there are many companies that don't really unsubscribe you when you click unsubscribe. That happens a lot with Argentine companies where regulations are not strict. Sometimes you don't even have a way of unsubscribing. I still receive emails from Disco Supermarket who unsubscribed like 20 years ago. So I'm going to move to the next section, which is, okay, we already got them to open the email. Now, how do we make them click on the email? How can we ensure that they engage? The key performance indicator here is click-through rate, and that's defined by the number of people who click on the email divided by the number of people who got the email. Normally in emails, CTR is between 2 and 5%, depending on the campaign, but that would be a normal CTR. So, a few pieces of advice. The first one is personalization is key, and if you get one thing from this presentation, let's rather be it. Marketers see a 20% increase in revenue when their email campaigns are personalized. And you have two main ways of personalizing your email campaigns. The first one is you send different emails to different people. To do this, you need to segment your database. So you go into MailChimp or whatever platform you're using, you go into your list of people and try to think what makes sense to you. You know, why would you want to send different emails to different people? Does it make sense to segment them through demographics? So maybe place where they live, or age, or gender, or it makes sense to segment them by the place where they are in the marketing funnel. You know, are they a lead, or are they existing customers? Are they old customers that have been with you many years? Those are different possibilities. I have included here two examples of segmentation. Well, one is a good example and the other one is a bad example. First one is an email I got from Cotswolds, and they are showing me their clothes for men and clothes for women. So that is something that is very easily avoidable with segmentation. They are just wasting space in that email because they just send a blanket email to everyone instead of segmenting. The second example is an email I got from John Lewis, and well, I don't know for sure if they segmented or not, but they are offering me an incentive if I create a wish list. And I don't think they send this to everybody. I created a wish list last year in John Lewis, and I think that's the reason why they are sort of trying to incentivize my previous behavior. That's a very good use of segmentation. You identify what customers are already doing, and then you incentivize them to do it again or to go further. So I said there were two ways of personalization, two main ways. The first one is this one, different emails to different customers. The second way is you actually send the same email to all customers, but you use dynamic fields to include personalization within the email. Yeah, so you really try and make the email look personal. The most simple way of doing this is adding the name of the person when you say hi. This is very normal. I'm sure that many of you are already doing that. Instead of saying hi customer or just hi, you say hi and then you add a tag, and that dynamic tag will pull the first name of the customer into the email. That's the most basic one. Now I'm going to show you the other extreme, something that we did at Sky, that I'm aware that this is not something that a small business can do, but just so you know the art of the possible. So you know the emails that we get at the end of the year from Spotify that tells you what was your favorite song, favorite artist, favorite genre. Well, we did the same thing with Sky Sports. So I opened this email. The first thing I see is a football shirt with my surname on it. I already love it. Then I scroll down and I see, looks like you are a die-hard fan because you tune into more sports than 90% of Sky Sport customers. So it's comparing the amount of Sky Sports that I watch versus the rest of the customers. I scroll down and I see a detail of how much of each sport I watch during the year. And then because football was the sport that I watched the most, I scroll down and it goes even deeper and tells me the number of matches and even the number of red cards and away wins that I watched during the year. So this is how deep you can go with personalization. It was the same email to everyone, but you include all these dynamic fields within the email to make it look really unique. And it is unique. This is one-to-one communication. There were not two emails that were the same. What else can we do to increase CTR? Well, less is more, as with everything in marketing or maybe everything in life. Consumers spend only an average of 10 seconds reading brand emails, so be straightforward. And I'm going to move on because this makes me anxious. Images are attractive, but won't automatically load. I'm sure you are familiarized with these kind of things. Images don't load unless you go up there, right-click, and click on Download Images. A lot of people don't do that, so make sure that the important message in your email is not contained within the images. Then the CTA is very important. CTA stands for Call to Action, and that's normally expressed in the form of a button in the email that you want people to click. So 3 pieces of advice. They should stand out, obviously. Be just one, ideally. And I'm not talking about including just one button in the email. You can have many buttons, but ideally, those many buttons should be for the same action. If you give customers a lot of different options of things to do, they freeze and they don't do anything. So try to have just one single action. And the final point is action-orientated. So for example, instead of saying more information in the button, say find out more. Yes, use verbs, and use verbs in the imperative. That works better. 2 examples here on the screen, one good, one bad. I don't have to tell you which one is good and which one is bad. The bad email is from Carries. Look at the amount of places where I can click, and it's all over the place, too much information. I definitely don't want to read that. And finally, be mobile first. So 41% of people open emails from their mobile device versus 39% from desktop. I remember a couple of years ago when it was the first time that mobile surpassed desktop. So I'm not saying that you should design your emails from a mobile screen, because that's obviously not comfortable. But then once you finish the design, make sure that you check how they look on a mobile screen. Any of the email marketing providers that I mentioned at the beginning include that function. Yes? Everything in this presentation is something that you can do with one of those email marketing providers. And I think that's all from me. This is, yes, I won't have time for this. Thank you very much. Any questions? Yes, Gabi.
Yes, I have a question. What would be a good open rate?
Yes, good question. I would say, well, it depends. It really depends on your business and your audience.
Let's say in the UK, what's a good open rate?
I don't know actually, but I think anything higher than 10% is good, is acceptable. Yes, we are, our inboxes are crowded with emails. So getting 10% of the audience to open the email is okay. It's not amazing, but it's okay. A very good open rate. Well, once we got to 70% with a marketing campaign, which is crazy. Yes, I would say anything higher than 30-40% is really good.
Good.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
No worries. Any other question? Yes.
Do you have any data if younger generation are still using email?
Yes, they are. So this is a misconception I also had before I started working on email marketing at Sky. I thought that younger people were moving away from email, but they aren't that way. I think they are just like adding more channels, they are adding social media and spending probably much more time on social media than the time that they spend checking emails, but they still happen. And I don't think it's something that they particularly like. I'm talking about very young audience, Gen Z at least. But it's also a necessity. You do need an email address to register to almost any website that you visit nowadays. So it's a necessity.
One question about you send an email and this person never open it. There is an algorithm that you will not send it, or you continue sending to these people that they not open it?
When you do the reasons to non-openers, so the email marketing platform will already be prepared to do it only once. Like it won't give you the option to do it many times.
But if I don't read it, you will send me several times, or the same
No, just once.
That's one.
We try just one more time.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
Another question is though, for you a weekly frequency would be alright. Is that business to consumers, or is there a difference from business to business?
Yes.
I find it quite frequent as a user.
Yeah.
I find it quite
Too much.
spamming to get a weekly email, and I'll feel more inclined to unsubscribe because I just don't have the time to read that often a promotional email.
Yes, and I think there is probably a difference between business to consumer and business to business. I think what is advisable is to segment your customers as well, because you will have some customers that you know that they are passionate about your brand. For example, if you see that they are buying frequently, then maybe you can create a segment with them and you can target them weekly or even maybe twice a week. While you will have customers that maybe bought from you only once, ever. So I agree, you probably don't want to be targeting them weekly if they bought from you just once.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a lot of try and error.
The trial and error.
Yeah, the section I didn't manage to cover was A/B testing. So whenever you want to test something, the good thing to do is an A/B test. So you basically, and this is something that the marketing platforms allow you to do if you upgrade. So this is normally not a free function, but you split your database in two, and then you send them the same email, but you only change one thing. That one thing that you change can be the subject line, can be whatever, the frequency, the time of day, the color of the CTA, the button, whatever you want to test, and then you compare the results.
Now, what about the content of the emails? Because all the examples you share were pretty much offers or promotions. Is that the only thing that you could send? Is it news? Is it updates? Is it blog posts? Is it what?
Yeah, no, good point. You can definitely send emails with content, so emails for people to read. People won't dedicate 10 seconds to those emails, right? Hopefully they will read on. However, in terms of measuring the success of your email, I would say that you should still use the CTR, the click-through rate, even if the content is to read on. Because you will always need to offer the customer or the person who is reading an option to go further, right? Because why not? If you send a newsletter or you send an article, then you need to offer them the option of going to your website where they can find even more content. And then it's advisable to always include a link and an action for the customer to do. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah.
Yes, Anissa.
I've got a question. It's actually not marketing related, so if it's not the place, you just let me know. Standing on the other side of marketing, is there a way to, it's algorithm related.
Okay.
Is there a way to kind of refresh or unsubscribe from algorithm? Because though algorithm is a tool for marketing to personalize your campaigns or emails or whatever, sometimes as a user, in YouTube for instance, you at a given point it narrows your chances of choosing because of the algorithm.
Yes. So first thing I would say is we don't use algorithm in email marketing as far as I'm aware.
Mm-hmm.
So when you build these complex emails like the one I show you from Sky Sports, that's using dynamic fields, but that doesn't use an algorithm. You need to, it's not that clever, you need to segment your database and use fields from your database and sort of manually build it. We haven't gotten to the point where an algorithm predicts what a customer wants to read in an email and builds the email automatically, although that probably is coming in the future, but not yet. In terms of social media, I don't think you can unsubscribe from the algorithm. I get your point, but the algorithm is like God for social media, and that's how they keep people engaged. I don't know if you want to add something, Michelle.
Thank you, Nahuel. Thank you.